Ladies and gentlemen, we are back at it again with another Wuthering Waves 3.6/3.7 marketing extravaganza, or more so talking about the lack of marketing and the lack of hype as we're heading into, well, the middle chapter of Mengzhou, the penultimate one actually, because it should be concluding in version 3.7. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we got the Wuthering Waves Twitter page over here, and I am happy to inform you that, like, it's literally, the patch is releasing in about 4 days, and there's been absolutely nothing posted since August 13th. I don't actually know, like, whether or not there's been, like, some sort of, like, scheduling mishap or error, if they're just dropping more things at once, but, yeah, the live stream was literally, like, 8 days ago. We are 4 days away from the update, and there's been so little sort of like actual preparation for this version. It feels like it's almost like not even happening. And this is what I'm hoping that we get very, very, very soon. Something that rocks the space. Something that rocks Wuthering Waves, and something that kind of just, I don't know, takes the gacha space by storm. Sort of like what we had before for some gameplay reveals like this. Because let's be entirely real over here. 3.5 and the engagement for 3.5, you can see it on things like the Midnight Podcast, even like this trailer, the story cinematics, blah, blah, blah. And of course, I think the most important one, the kind of like lack of views on the live stream. This is one of the most diabolical fall-offs, version from version, I've like ever seen. Where like people, I assume, are so uninterested after this patch that nobody wants to go ahead and watch the live stream for this one. I think that by itself is sort of the most obvious relationship that you can see. There's been a massive fall off. And when you know that this 3.5 version was preceded by, and well, everyone knows about this one, we even had a gameplay reveal for this bad boy, and yet it somehow has ended up with, after this gameplay reveal, we're now in sort of like the biggest ditch the game has been in viewership and engagement-wise in a very, very, very long time. Obviously, this one didn't work out that well. So I can see why Kuro hesitated to maybe do a gameplay reveal for characters like this, because, you know, they don't want to let the cat out of the bag too soon, especially after seeing that the cat died in the bag last time. And so, you can probably guess why I'm making this video. Because I feel like Wuthering Waves is currently in one of the most dire times it's ever been in. And the biggest reason for one of those dire times is likely going to be these two. These two massive fucking reasons. Because guess what, guys? Most people are actually skipping, or really heavily thinking about skipping, version 3.6, which consists of, well, a dude and another arrow DPS that people might not need. And so a lot of people are naturally allocating a lot of time, pulls, all of that, to this character. And so, half of the disengagement that I imagine with a unit like a fusion heavy attacker that scales with HP, that kind of is probably going to need their signature to perform, very kind of, you know, barrier-filled unit at first glance. And then you also got Toon Strain Arrow DPS. That's also a sword, just like Cardathea. And so if you have Sigrika or you have Cart, you kind of like at a baseline don't really feel like pulling her. You can kind of see what's going on over here. And what I'm saying is this, Kuro Games, we are going to need an IMITH level marketing procedure, right? We're going to need something along the lines of showing off Augusta and Yuno, because that gameplay reveal was absolutely insane back in the day. We remember that bad boy, right? Oh yeah, we found out she did this. We were all cooming at the same time. Yeah, no, this was pretty badass, wasn't that? And then, of course, we all remember this one. I think this one might have been one of the most hype of them all, because it was from like Xbox, and then they were just showing off this crazy bitch. Yeah, I remember this still like pausing on here. Yeah, you were like, oh my god. Yeah. We need some of this. And that also means that there's going to have to be a kit that matches that type of appeal. Because I feel like one thing is very, very, very obvious from the marketing efforts that Kuro made over here with version 3.5. They did it with characters that I feel like people just don't really like that much. Because, let's be real here, do people really like Yang Yang that much? No, not at the level of, I think, Hiyuki. Before we even knew who she was liked more than Yang Yang. I think that Augusta and Yuno, before people, at least this character, I think before people even knew what she did, just from the drip marketing, they liked this character better. And I think the same exact thing is going on over here, especially with the number of people who are already ready to dedicate the next few versions worth of pulls towards this unit, and even taking an advance with their credit card as well. And naturally, alongside this unit, it's kind of obvious that this one's going to be releasing too. And this is the thing, right? I wouldn't be surprised if they decide to skip her kind of like gameplay reveal, or if they do decide to actually show it. If her animations are actually insane, if her animations are actually nuts, and, you know, we get something more like a Carlotta instead of like a Rosia, I guess. Something along those lines, right? And when a lot of people are estimating that she's probably going to be like the premium sub DPS for Electro Flare, maybe not a bad idea to see how the two of them perform together. Maybe not in a team, but at least like on like a battlefield, right? Because they're likely going to actually be teammates. And that's the thing. I think more people are looking forward, and they're looking ahead to version 3.7 and all of the wonderful things, right, that are in store. And they're kind of not even thinking about the present version and what we have ahead right now. And I think that is what's heavily contributing to maybe the lack of interest in 3.6. The fact that the one character that people are looking forward to maybe isn't there. But to sort of like reignite, right, all of that passion, reignite all of that sort of like engagement, it's clear that something big needs to be done. And that's why I'm saying we need something on the level like this. Because remember, ladies and gentlemen, this was actually our last Sentinel Resonator. They did this.
Now! Body limit unlocked. The Savior rises.
That was our last Sentinel Resonator. She summoned a giant fucking Gundam, and it was like the craziest gameplay reveal ever. And when we take a look at some of the actual like story that was in version 3.5, we could definitely see maybe Scene doing something
This place is supposed
potentially on that level, if not crazier. Let me go ahead and see if I can get like the one important cutscene from here. Oh yeah, there we go, found the frame. Yeah, I kind of want to see like something like this, where maybe she just turns like gigantic with like red eyes and stuff and red lightning. You can sort of see it over here. I think she's gonna have red lightning. And so you can probably imagine that there might be some very, very, very hype-ass stuff coming up in story, because I'm taking this as like a preview for what her kit's probably going to do. And if she becomes gigantic, bro, she becomes the big gigantic, well, let's be honest here, that's probably going to fulfill a fetish or two for somebody, but it's also probably going to look pretty badass. Because, let's be real here, you've got to surpass this. This isn't really like a genre of game where it's good for you to sort of like progress backwards. But obviously, you don't want to power creep like the scale of something like this, because this motherfucker's gigantic. But I think you can definitely still have power in a lot of different ways. This is also another idea. Ooh, sorry, didn't mean to hide myself. This is also another idea that we might have sort of like waiting in store. And that's going to be from the end of the Wuthering Waves 3.6 special broadcast. If you were not leaving early, then you might have noticed that there was a bit of like a mini scene over here. So obviously, you see that you got So Ming coming in, but this may be sort of like Infinity Castle vibe, or like whatever we got going on in here. This is probably created by Scene as well. Right? And people are saying, is that like her eye? I don't really know, right? Mr. Giant Eye. Wait, where's her giant eye? I don't see shit. Oh, you're talking about that thing? Why is that shit blue? Oh, I guess that's the part that confused me. Her eye was blue. When she's, I guess, also red and that's a little bit confusing. You know what I mean? Like we were like, bro, we were just right here.
a bet on
We were just right there, and she was looking like that. So, hey, maybe she's like a Skittles, like every fucking color of the rainbow, bro. Or maybe she's got two modes. Maybe she has one where her VFX are red, and she has one where her VFX are blue. I'm not gonna lie, that would be insane if they did that. She's like an RGB she's like an RGB fucking graphics card, dual resonance mode. I mean, well, let's be real here. This is another dual resonance mode character. So like, that's likely what they're going to do from Sentinels here on out, is to have, like, their resonators or their units have dual modes. Pretty much because, like, I feel like they want to make them worth, like, double the amount of other characters. And so when you pull one Sentinel, now you want to pull 4 units to build both of their teams. Do you get what's going on over here? Like, Imeth in some ways was like a moneymaker because she has the dual modes, right? Now some people, they pulled Chisa even though they didn't fucking need her. They pulled Denya even though they knew they didn't fucking need her. That's because she has her Fusion Burst mode, right? But then obviously the Tomb Break mode as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if maybe, like, Kuro's actually just sort of, like, teasing that she's got dual modes as well. Because that would be maybe the first time that we've actually had, like, the modes in the kit significantly, I don't know, actually, like, alter the visuals of the character. Because maybe it is a big deal that she's blue over here. Because blue lightning, 1,000,000% a thing. And it's fucking badass, right? Everyone saw, like, Avatar, The Last Airbender, and, like, Palpatine, right? Is this lightning blue? It's sort of blue. You get what I mean, right? And then red lightning is obviously... Everyone's played Dark Souls and Elden Ring, right? Like, when you get access to the red lightning, you are fucking shit up in those games. Like, we all get the vibes, and I feel like they're taking from some very, very, very iconic franchises if they're going with that route, and I think it fits the bill pretty damn well. But as you can clearly see, right, they're doing a lot to add to sort of like the majesty and the hype of Scene. And I feel like in a lot of ways, that hype that they're building up for, it can feel like it's taking away from the shine and the glim of the other characters that are in the region. And I think that is honestly what's going on. Because it feels like everything is riding on this character for 2 very good reasons. And I really hope Kuro doesn't blow it. I really hope they don't blow it. And I really hope they start coming out with some news soon. Because Wuthering Waves is currently in, I do believe, one of the most dry and depressing periods I've ever seen. And the fact that I, this morning, just went to go check out the Twitter page 4 days before the update is here, and there's just nothing except the shit from 2 days ago. Bro, what are we even doing with this patch? Like, why does it feel like this patch is, like, not happening? And why does it feel like we're skipping 3.6 and going right to 3.7? And that's because of Kuro's own actions. Just look at how few posts we have that are, like, actually interesting or, like, built towards hyping up this up. There's nothing, bro. And we got a soy thing, double tacit fields, another soy thing, the maintenance notice, and her opinion on a bunch of garbage weapons. Bro. And then there's just been nothing since then, 2 days ago. I'm hoping all the effort's being saved up for this one. I hope all the hype, all of the marketing, all of the whatever. Bro, I hope Jeff Keighley is on the fucking phone with these bastards right now. Bro, Jeff Keighley better be having, like, some shit lined up on his schedule real soon. Because otherwise, I feel like this game is going to have a really, really, really rough time in its China region. And then the curse of China is just going to continue even further. Because now it will have effectively fucked every single gacha game out there. Let me know what you all thought about this situation. Peace out.